Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome back to Cardiff City World and welcome back to our South Wales Derby Daily. Bit of a mouthful, but we have been flying this week. We've been cooking up some good stuff, speaking to a range of ex-players about the big game on Saturday and their experiences in the huge game and that big game environment, which is always a nice insight. And I am very thrilled to say that my last interview of the week is with none other than ex-Cardiff City only defender, Mr. Derek Brazil. How are you, my friend? You good?
Morning, Si. How are you doing?
I am very good, mate. It's been a busy week, but it's been so much fun, mate. And I got to say, like, I was excited about a game, and then as you speaking to more and more people and ex-players about it, you get more and more excited. And to be honest, it was when I spoke to Ernie yesterday. He's so infectious, like in the way he talks and how excited he was for the game. I was like, by the time I came out speaking to him, I was just really ready
for you.
Yeah.
And he is like that. I interviewed him at Cardiff City. I think it was for the West Brom game, and you could see how he does so well in TV, you know, because he is so infectious and he is bubbly and he's brilliant at his job, which is good for him. But it's a strange week building up to a derby game. The whole place, all the results have they don't really matter. You know, you're playing against your local rivals, and our fans want us to beat them. So everywhere you go during the week, when you were a player, when I was a player, people wishing you luck, you know, and just everyone's part of it. And it doesn't feel like it's your team playing. You feel like the whole of Cardiff are playing against Swansea. So should be a spectacular game, I think.
Yeah, there's loads riding on it as well, because I've said a couple of times, I don't think Swansea can afford to lose. That's the one result they cannot afford, because when you look at the fixtures around them, if they lose, they are banging the relegation. Like, there's no way around it. At the moment, they got that 5-point cushion, but if they lose Saturday and then a couple of results go against them, you know, Sheffield Wednesday been playing very well, scored a few goals. It could be problematic for them, mate, which would be such a shame.
Well, I wouldn't say it's such a shame, but I think, you know, we've been in those positions before as well, recently, and I think they haven't had a great season. But, you know, just like I said about Cardiff City fans, Swansea fans, you know, if they just about stay up, but they beat us this weekend,
be very happy.
That'll make their whole season. I think the difference this year is that we are coming into the game in better form than they are, which you wouldn't say over the last few seasons has been the case.
Yeah, it was the same at the start of the season as well, wasn't it? We were in good form at the start of the season coming into the game, and everyone felt nervously confident. And then I thought the way that Cardiff played against Swansea in that game, I felt like we dominated that game pretty much from start to finish. There was, you know, as a fan, as you're watching those games, it's very nerve-wracking in it, and you're feeling every pass and every shot and everything. But like I rewatched it recently, and I there's one sort of 5-minute spell in the second half where Swansea get a couple of half chances, but at no point was I like on the edge of my seat panicking that they were going to score, which I think says a lot about the way the manager set up, and they kept possession of the ball, which was a change in itself, because we're so used to Swansea having a lot of the ball and keeping possession, and Cardiff have improved in that massively. Do you feel like form and confidence will still play a part, even though it's a derby? Because, you know, that's that famous cliche, isn't it? Like, form goes out window for a derby.
I think initially, the start of the game and the atmosphere is going to be there. It will be daunting. And I imagine for the first 10 or 15 minutes, it'll be, you know, quite fiery. So form then doesn't really come into it. I think as the game settles down maybe 25 minutes into the game, possibly second half. I think that's when, when the form, and the way we've been playing will come into it.
Yeah.
But I think for the first 10 or 15 minutes, it doesn't matter what form. It wouldn't even matter what, if they were a division above us or below us or whatever. I think that first 15 minutes, if we can kill the atmosphere a little bit and take the sting out of the support, and then that will allow us to play our game, which is steadily improving, you have to say.
Yeah, and I think the manager has learned a little bit as he's gone along, and I think you can see he sort of corrected a couple of maybe mistakes there, I say, that he was making along the way, and I think he's kind of adjusted as he's going on. And I think, particularly away from home, Cardiff's form has been, and their performances has generally been very, very good all season. We had some big results, big performances. What was it like for you when you used to play in, these big games in the derbies, when you are the away team? Obviously, back then it would have been, the Vetch and Ninian Park, which are proper football grounds, isn't it? But like, how difficult is it to navigate those types of atmosphere in that early period of the game?
It's about sticking together, I think, as a group of players, and it all starts as soon as you turn up at the ground. The hatred that's there is evident when you're warming up. I mean, I remember warming up, at the Vetch, and I haven't had a short spell at Swansea for 3 months when I was at United on loan. I was going to sign for Swansea, but they couldn't afford the transfer fee. So, I went there for 3 months. I was a young kid, came back. So the next time I went back there was as a Cardiff City player. So you can imagine the stick I was getting. And I remember warming up and going across to the North Bank. And there was a bloke there, he was giving me a bit of grief. So I kissed the Cardiff City badge. So we jogged back across, came back across again. And lo and behold, the same fella was calling me. And he had a Bowie knife in his hand. So I did report it to the police down there and the stewards, but you can imagine the answer I got back. So it's quite intimidating, even like say in the warm up. But as I said, you stick together as a team. We'll have supporters there. We had supporters when I was playing there, and you look to them for guidance as well. So it's about making sure you're all together. There will be players playing on Sunday or whatever. They'll have nerves, but experienced players in the team that we have, they should get them through it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think Cardiff have got quite a good mix of experience and youth. And I think also having players like Ruben Corwell, who's a local lad, he'll know the importance of it to the fans and the everything which comes with it, because he's his family, his friends, everything. And there's at the end of the day, even if they're not in the first team 11, there's a few of the the young lads who are local, they're going to all know it. And then you've got experienced players, international players within the side as well, which are, they know the score. They know they've played in big games before. But there's,
I mean, even you've got players like Perry and G who've been around at the club now for a while, who have played in quite a few derbies. So they'll be aware of what it's like. And they, those who haven't played in this type of derby, I'm sure the likes of Perry and G and Ruben as well will be, given a few insights into it. But I think, like you said earlier, our away form has been, better than our home form, I would say, up until recently. Our home form's picked up a little recently, but our away form seems to be a lot better this year. And we've had some great results away from home where you wouldn't expect it. So, I think it'll be a tight game Sunday, but I do fancy us to win.
Yeah, I think so. I think our tactics and the way manager likes to set up away from home is set up nicely for us, because Swansea will have to come out. They do need to win the game. Yeah. And I think when you've got the players that we have, we can do some damage in that because you can utilize the spaces that are left, and we've got some good, hard-working midfielders at the base who will pinch the ball and win the ball on the halfway line, and you catch players out of position. Then on that lineup, I feel like Ruben's been very unlucky to be put on the bench actually the last couple of games, because I think he's been one of the real bright sparks this season. And when we had that little dip in form, he was one who kept wanting the ball, kept trying to create, kept trying to do something, and I thought he was pretty consistent. Definitely deserves his place in the Welsh squad, by the way. But what sort of side would you go with, mate? Would you keep it the same as Ipswich, or would you change anything?
Yeah, I would. I'd keep it. I think that the players who played against Ipswich deserve to play in it. Ipswich, are a very good football team. But for many parts of the game, we dominated them. I think the introduction, of the keeper that's come in, he's been fantastic. He's really settled the back four down. I think, losing McGuinness as well, but then bringing the lad in from Liverpool, he's done well. But I think he won't go far. He won't change much from the game against Ipswich. The only thing, he may start Ruben. I think possibly Ruben could be a big key factor for them. But I think the team more or less picks itself recently. I don't see why he would change his tactics. I don't see why he would change. He's probably got 9 of the players that he knows that he's going to play, your regulars. So it'd be a touch and go who he would start with. Does he bring Ruben? Does he bring him on, or does he start him in a? It's going to be a feisty affair, I think. But I think the manager is finally got his best team. You could say maybe McGuinness is a big miss, but Siopsis has come back to his better form. He had a bit of a spell where he went off form, but he seems to have come back in and found the rhythm again. I think he'll be key. He'll be massively key, sitting in front of the back four. And then it's like you say, it's a derby day. Anything can happen. You could have a bad refereeing decision. You could have players who freeze on the day. The atmosphere gets to them, and so it's all builds up to be one of those things where who can keep their nerve, I think. And like I said to you earlier, is that kill the crowd in the first 15 minutes, don't concede. If you can get one, brilliant. Put pressure on them, and a draw wouldn't be the worst thing for us. I think we're 5 points off the playoffs now, which you'd say a month and a half ago we were nowhere near that.
Well, a month and a half ago, mate, we were thinking if we lose a couple of games, we had a little run of games, which Ipswich was the 3rd game in that run, and you felt like on paper the form we were in, if we lost those games, we were going to get dragged back in. And I think the championship is, as we know, is just crazy the way
it's mad. It's a mad league. It is. Like you say, you could have, we've had a good run of results now, and we're 5 points off playoffs. And I'm not saying we will make the playoffs, but that's the championship. You could go on it. We could win on the weekend. You could go on a run and win 3 or 4 games, within the space of 10 days or 2 weeks, and all of a sudden, because there'll be teams in the playoff positions who will get a bit panicky at the moment, because they might drop out of there. But it's always a team that comes from nowhere, and who's to say that it can't be us? Stay injury free. Get the right results. I think our home form, which has picked up a little bit recently, has been quite poor all season. Now, if we can match our away form, which we've been playing this year, and put that into these last games in the at home, you never know. We could make the playoffs, but I think if we're going to make the playoffs, I think a win on the weekend is crucial. But in terms of where we're going there, a draw wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But I think our home results need to improve a lot more if we are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think so. But then I think the other side of it is Cardiff would love to do the double when they haven't done the double over Swansea before, and I think the fact that Swansea have done it the last couple of seasons makes there's a little bit extra for the fans to be able to say, we've done that. But also, mate, just lastly, before I ask you for your score prediction, I think the one thing you can say with Cardiff is suddenly we look like we've got a really strong bench, because if let's say he keeps it the same as the Ipswich game, that means the bench is like Walls, Colwell, Tanner, Jeju, Romeo. Like, they're good footballers, all of which can really come in and do a good job in different ways. So it suddenly gives you that bit of just options off the bench, because I thought Colwell, and O'Dowda as well, completely forgot.
Yeah, O'Dowda.
He's come back like he hasn't been away, and I'd probably start.
It'd be interesting to see if he does start O'Dowda, because he's got big game experience as well. So, and I've been saying this for a couple of years, I feel that O'Dowda is better, more forward, and I think he's wasted at left back, if you ask me. I think, whether he plays in centre midfield or whether he plays on the left, I think you get more out of him. Most of his career he's been a midfielder, and I think last season he played a lot of left back, and he's probably one of our most talented players. So, like you say, him coming off the bench in a forward position like he did on the weekend, I mean, I think what the manager's got now is, like you said, his bench is very strong. So if it's not going well, he's got 2 or 3 players who can impact the game. So if they come on, it's what you want. You don't want, what we've had in recent seasons where you look at the bench and you think there's nothing going to come from that. Whereas now, the likes of Joe, if Joe Rolls on the bench and say we are winning by the odd goal, Joe's decent to come on and store things up. He's got great experience, and great to see him sign a new contract at the club as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very, very pleased to see that, and hopefully the manager will be next. But I think hopefully if we get a win on Saturday, he'll sign a new contract in the international break, and then.
Well, that's a different podcast, isn't it? Because that's a different whole ball game. That is, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
we know by experience. Managing the club it's
a job, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a job yeah.
What's the score going to be on Saturday then, mate?
Well, I don't normally go for this score, but my good friend Gary Bell, who I did 12 years with at Cardiff City until recently, always, every home game would go 2-1. So now we're away, I'm going to go 2-1 to Cardiff City.
There you go, mate. There we go. Derek, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate, as always. And I'm sure we'll see each other very soon anyway.
Great to talk to you, mate, and enjoy the game.
I will, mate. Well, I'll try anyway.
Well, when you can, yeah.
Yeah. No, take it easy, my friend. See you soon.
Cheers, pal.